First of all, in order to get to Jamboard, you need to open your Google Drive and click on the Jamboard icon. If you scroll down, you'll find that here. Then you can create a new Jamboard by clicking on the icon in the lower right-hand corner, or you can access an existing one. Each Jamboard is called a jam. When you open one, they have multiple slides or frames. Each jam can have up to 20 frames. So if you're using this in a class, you can assign different groups to each frame, or you can assign an individual student to a frame. So Jamboard is a digital whiteboard. It offers the ability to collaborate virtually or in person on a shared space. Users can create with text, sticky notes, or images that they can search or cut and paste, or even draw. Basically, the awesome thing about Jamboard is that it's a blank slate, which is really fun and exciting. Some even speculate that it can replace Google Slides in your teaching because it's interactive. Unlike Slides, it has the potential for students to interact and engage with the content on a much different level. So let's look at some of the tools that Jamboard has. So Jamboard is very easy to use. Anyone with the link, and you can share the link on your learning management page or in Zoom, anyone, or via email, anyone with the link can access the individual slides and frames. And all students can access the entire assignment Jamboard, which makes it easy to share the final products. And it also makes it easy for the teacher to check in and provide feedback while they're working. Or as mentioned, you could assign individual boards to specific students or groups. So these are some of the tools. So first there's the marker, or the pen rather. And you can see you can choose different sizes. There's a highlighter, a brush, different colors. So we can do a marker. You can draw all over. And this is easiest to use if you have a touch screen, which I do, or if you have a stylus. It can be used with a mouse. It's just trickier. Then, of course, there's an eraser. Let's get rid of that. The select tool, which basically just helps us to drag and drop. Sticky notes. I use this a lot when I've used Jamboard in the past. So I've used this a lot when I'm doing like concept mapping or charts in my language arts class, when I've done analysis and synthesis activities. And the great thing is you can change the color of the sticky notes. So for example, I did an activity with my students where the first step of the analysis process, they did yellow sticky notes, and then green for the next step. And then by the time we got to synthesis, the sticky notes were pink. So this is a sticky note. And they can be, you can move them, drag, drop, you can make them big, little, whatever. Adding images, this is really cool because you can upload an image from your computer, URL, you can use your webcam, Google Drive, Google Image Search. Let's do this. And so I've done this, and we can resize that. Let's make it nice and little, stick it in the corner. I've done this with my students for various activities. We did an activity where the students had to make parody ads. So they were cutting and pasting images from Google, and they were, slicing them and modifying them, adding a circle, and actually you can add different shapes. Text box, laser, this is more useful in your teaching. And so some potential uses, and I'm going to go back and pull up some examples from my Jamboards. So let me show you some of the different Jamboards that I've created in the past. So some potential uses for Jamboard: it can be used on the first day of class as an opener activity, or really any day in class as an opener activity. Students can create a board as a way to get to know one another. They can post, so this is an exercise used, what do you do that brings you joy? So a group of students posted different sticky notes as a way to, an SEL activity, way to just bond and get to know each other. This is a great opener, or you can do like as a closing activity. It can take, just like 5-6 minutes. This is a really great, easy, quick way to use a Jamboard, because if you think about those opening activities first couple weeks of class, rather than making 7 different posters and hanging them in the room just for a quick share out, a Jamboard accomplishes that. Super easy, quick, very, very smooth and easy to do. So some other ways to use Jamboard: again, it could be a simple share out. It can also be a very easy way to do a collaborative discussion, and that can be, a simple knowledge-based discussion. That can be an application discussion, really taking it to some of the higher level thinking skills, as I mentioned, with analysis and synthesis. We can see that this was one of those for my class. So we can see the different levels of analysis and finally synthesis. They were discussing the odd couple, and so the group was making connections to the plot, and then connections to the themes, and then real life connections. And then the pink sticky note is where they were trying to decide, they were synthesizing the information. So we can see some groups obviously had a lot more to say than others did. Concept mapping is a great way to use Jamboard. Collaborative presentations. So this is from another teacher. This was a lesson on media literacy. So basically the students had to explore a concept, and they had to explore like where in the media they got these ideas. And so they've got some information, they've got some examples of that media message in contemporary media, and then they would share out. So you can also use it as a formative or summative assessment. So students collaborating on this one, but again, it could be individual. This is where students actually created their own media messages, so that higher level thinking skill for creation. So they were making billboards, they were making Instagram messages. And so we can see lots of different ways that it can be used. And there are a lot of templates online as well. So some of the benefits: it's quick, it's easy, it can be accessed from any device with Google, whether that's a phone, a computer, a tablet, and it can be used at home, at school. It's really easy for students to collaborate, whether they're in person, remote, again at home. It can be used with touch screen or mouse, and it's really easy for the students to figure out. It does not take a lot of instruction. Basically, put them on it, they can figure it out. And it's highly, highly collaborative and very easy to share, because everyone has access. If you give the class access, everyone can see the different frames. So really easy for students to share. Some problems: the finished look is not as polished as with some other presentation platforms like Google Slides, Prezi. And although students can copy and paste images from other sources, it can sometimes look a little rougher around the edges. Additionally, if the entire class is on one Jam, there is the potential for students to possibly try to modify what another student has written. Once in a while, you'll have an immature student maybe draw on something or write something inappropriate. This is definitely an issue of classroom culture and should be handled as such and can be dealt with from the start. And yeah, that's definitely something just to be aware of, or students even copying from what students write on other slides. Ultimately, the potential of the tool can far outweigh the possible downsides.